भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। Wow, these are so interesting verses. Should I start or?
Yes, no objection.
नहि तन्मनस्तव कथासु वैकुण्ठनाथ सम्प्रीयते दुरितदुष्टम् असाधु तीव्रम् कामातुरं हर्षशोकभैशनार्थं तस्मिन् कथा तव गतिं विश्रमीदिनाः। My dear Lord, Vimrishami Dhinaha. Sorry, yeah. My dear Lord of the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no anxiety, my mind is extremely sinful and lusty, being sometimes so-called happy and sometimes so-called distressed. My mind is full of lamentation and fear, and it always seeks more and more money. Oh my God. Thus it has become most polluted. What's the word proper? How does it translate money into? Kama aturam. Kama aturam, always full of different desires and lusty propensities. Thus it has become most polluted and is never satisfied in topics concerning you. I am therefore most fallen and poor. In such a state of life, how shall I be able to discuss your activities? Purport. Here, Prahlad Maharaj represents himself as a common man, although he actually has nothing to do with this material world. Prahlad is always situated in the Vaikuntha planets of the spiritual world, but on behalf of the fallen souls, he asks how, when his mind is always disturbed by material things, he can discuss the transcendental position of the Lord. The mind becomes sinful because we are always engaged in sinful activities. Anything not connected with Krishna consciousness should be understood to be sinful. And Krishna demands in Bhagavad Gita 1868, Sarvadharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. As soon as one surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, Krishna immediately relieves one of the reactions of sinful activities. Therefore, one who is not surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord should be understood to be sinful, foolish, degraded among men, and bereft of all knowledge because of atheistic propensities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:15. Namam dushkrutino mudha prapadyante naradamaha maya pahrita jnana suram bhavam ashrita. Therefore, especially in this age of Kali, the mind must be cleansed, and this is possible only by chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Cheto Darpanam Arjunam. In this age, the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only method by which to cleanse the sinful mind. When the mind is completely cleansed of all sinful reactions, one can then understand his duty in the human form of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to educate sinful men so that they may become pious simply by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyaiva 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 Gatirannata. To cleanse the heart so that one may become sober and wise in this age of Kali, there is no value to any other method than chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Prahlad Maharaj has confirmed this process in previous verses. Tvadvire Gayana Mahamrita Magna Chitta. Prahlad further confirms that if one's mind is always absorbed in thought of Krishna, that very qualification will purify one and keep one purified always. To understand the Lord and his activities, one must free his mind from all contamination of the material world. And this one can achieve simply by chanting the Lord's holy name. Thus, one becomes free from all material bondage. Any comments?
Well, very relevant. I mean, how people's minds are disturbed, then ultimately they have to chant the holy name. So there's no. See, I heard that in the previous age, like Dwapar Yuga is deity worship, and people work so. Say they go to Mongol Arctic or say Darshan Arctic, and that makes them all day purified. They sing the Lord, and their mind is not so contaminated. So they've seen the Lord, and basically they can be pure all day, But in this age, that is not, and that is not sufficient. So yeah, I mean, it's perfect. Yes. I also like the idea. I mean, I like in the sense that to understand Srila Prabhupada, to understand the Acharya's mood, here is say, anything not connected with Krishna consciousness should be understood to be sinful. So this may or may not be like a standard reference, meaning generally we understood sin as a activity that breaks some rule of dharma, right? Eating something wrong, doing wrong, doing some crime, committing violence, and so on. But here Srila Prabhupada goes much more radical. He says anything not connected with Krishna should be understood to be sinful. So in other words, the acharyas, Srila Prabhupada in particular, they're so convinced that, look, you belong to Krishna, you got to serve Krishna. So it's a breach of dharma. Anything you do, which is not. Say somebody may say a sattvic person may just walk in the morning, like we see in India now, they go to these gardens, they walk around. So you may say, what's sinful with that? No, it's healthy. They're not disturbing anybody, especially if there are no ants on the floor. So how is that can be sinful? But then Srila Prabhupada said, no, anything not connected to Krishna should be understood to be sinful. So it's again, I said, it may not be a standard reference but it's very, very, it gives us very much insight into the mind of a pure devotee. And we also need to accept, to embrace it. Yeah, look, you belong to Krishna. You're not doing anything for Krishna. You're wrong. You're making a mistake. So you could say you're sinful. You're being hadharmic, even if you're doing something. But so somebody say, oh, but I'm opening a hospital. No, I'm trying to help people by opening a hospital. No, but it's not connected with Krishna consciousness. Of course, one may say, well, if you're sacrificing, that's an indirect connection, and that is also there. So you can also explain in a way that, okay, if you're trying to do good, it's a form of Krishna consciousness. Like Satsvarup Maharaj, at the time, I don't think he was even initiated, but asked Srila Prabhupada about Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche. He was a German philosopher. And he said different things. I mean, he said he was a very disturbed individual, but somehow he became very, very famous also because Hitler started promoting his writing. But anyway, he said something like, I could believe in a God that could dance. So he had some intuition, or he had some compassion for animals. But, he was a very disturbed personality. But anyway, so Satsarup Maharaj asked, the time not Maharaj, okay, Steve Guarino or Satsarup Das asked to Srila Prabhupada, so was Friedrich Nietzsche Krishna conscious? And Srila Prabhupada gave an answer which I really liked very much. He said his sincerity was his Krishna consciousness. In other words, whatever sincerity, whatever spiritual ambition, pure ambition, clean desire, or whatever endeavor towards the truth, that was Krishna conscious. Krishna conscious. Obviously, it was not Krishna conscious in a, okay, he knew Krishna, he surrendered to Krishna, he chanted Krishna. Not in that sense, but in the sense that whatever effort for the truth and for the absolute he was doing, that was his Krishna conscious. So that should be accepted and appreciated. So we need to see both aspects of this statement. Otherwise, we may become just fanatics, okay? Krishna consciousness, not connected to Krishna consciousness. But like, for instance, so many people are religious. They may not know Krishna. There's so many millions and millions of Christians and Muslims that never heard Krishna. They never heard Krishna. They may live in China. They may live in in Canada, or they may live in Bolivia. They may not never have heard Krishna. Just they just don't know. But doesn't mean that they're not in Krishna consciousness when they pray or when they do something religious. Okay? Next.
Jivaikatochyuta vikarshati. If you move it, it's very hard to. Jivaikatochyuta vikarshati ma vitripta shishnonyatastvadudaram shravanam kutaschit granonyataschapaladrik kvacha karma shaktir bhavya sapnya iva geha patim lunanti. My dear Lord, O infallible one, my position is like that of a person who has many wives, all trying to attract him in their own way. For example, the tongue is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with an attractive woman, and the sense of touch to contact with soft things. The belly, although filled, still wants to eat more, and the ear, not attempting to hear about you, is generally attracted to cinema songs. Cinema songs. What does it say here? Karma Shakti, the active sense.
Shravanam, the ear for ear. See, he just say the senses, not like twak, the skin, udaram, the belly, shravanam, the ear.
Yeah. The sense of smell is attracted to yet another side. The restless eyes are attracted to scenes of sense gratification, and the active senses are attracted elsewhere. In this way, I am certainly embarrassed. Purport. I really like how Prabhupada says cinema songs. That's like so cute. Purport. The human form of life is meant for God realization. But this process, which begins with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is disturbed as long as our senses are materially attracted. Therefore, devotional service means purifying the senses. In the conditioned state, our senses are covered by material sense gratification. And as long as one is not trained in purifying the senses, one cannot become a devotee. In our Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, we advise from the very beginning that one restrict the activities of the senses, especially the tongue, which is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as the most greedy and unconquerable. To stop this attraction of the tongue, one is authoritatively advised not to accept meat or similar uneatable things, nor to allow the tongue to hanker or drink or smoke. Even the drinking of tea and coffee is not permitted. Similarly, the genitals must be restricted from illicit sex. Without such restraint of the senses, one cannot make advancement in Krishna consciousness. The only method of controlling the senses is to chant and hear the holy name of the Lord. Otherwise, one will always be disturbed, as a householder with more than one wife would be disturbed by them for sense gratification. Ha ha.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on this?
Well, I'm just thinking it's quite difficult to bring this standard of thing for new people when we are preaching, and especially, let's say, about sex life.
I mean, the point is this: the world is so degraded that you're right. People may think what's normal, but even what's not was not normal like 50 years ago, 60 years ago. What does we go 100, 200 years ago? People would just stick to their wife, stick to their husband. That was human life. Yeah, some degraded person like that, very last, they will go to some prostitute or so like that. But that was the standard. You have one wife, you have one husband, and that's it. And no, the village, there will be very, no, they will there. See, in the village, everybody sees everything. So, no, you are under control of the village, of the elder, of this family, cannot do because now it's all impersonal. People can hide or do things online and things that but that was the standard. This is the standard human existence. So it's said that the world is so degraded. There was so much preaching that no, you cannot restrict your mind. You cannot restrict your senses. Come on. It's like there's so much preaching that is something wrong if you are not sinful.
Mm, true. Very true.
Even some animals are just monogamous. They have one companion, that's all.
One time I remember, there's astrology. In astrology, some people are more lusty, like says they have stronger Mars, like that. And I remember one time I was in my in Mayapur class. Guru Maharaj was giving class, and I was right in the front. And then Guru Maharaj was saying something about like natures and like that, like everybody has different natures, and according to their nature, they will have to do this and that. And then I made a point. I said, I said something like, yeah, sometimes, some people can be more lusty or passionate by nature. They may be. And then Guru Maharaj looked into my eyes. This was many years ago. And then he said, yeah, but they cannot use that as an excuse to, by saying, like, he gave an example. He said, oh, it's because I have this in my chart. I am like more lusty or something, and therefore I can do this. Like don't justify that, something like that. I mean, like you understand what I mean. Like Prince Guru Maharaj was very strong about it, and then he caught me in trying to like justify karma. Oh, it's in my chart anyway, and therefore I'm doing it, kind of a thing.
The principle is that if somebody is more sick, you should take a stronger medicine. everybody's say has different level of sickness, right? It's like when you get COVID. Some people just take some medicines, like you got COVID, you stayed the 5, 6 days at home, 10 days, then it was gone.
Mm.
I was much more sick. It took 30% out of my lungs.
Mm.
I could have died actually.
Mm.
And I had to be hospitalized twice. First, I was 1 week in one hospital, then I came out, but I was not improving. I mean, they fix certain things. They stop to some extent. They help very much. But then when I got out, I had to go again, being hospitalized. So now, different degree of the disease, even the same disease, it takes different things. People were worse than me. They had to be intubated, means they had to put the tubes inside. They had to put them because it's so painful. They had to put them in a total anesthesia. So there are. It's the same. It's the same disease. It's the same virus. But it's different people. So different remedies, right? So, okay, somebody may say, oh, I chant 16 rounds and my mind is still disturbed, so then chant 32. Or somebody may say, oh, if I eat this much, I feel agitated. Well, eat less.
Right.
The point is recognizing it's a disease. If one
Tate
don't,
Vasudevaya. Sorry.
what?
No, it's the
The
line.
point, the point is recognizing it as a disease.
Mm.
Not that one cultivates it. It's a different mood. Some people. Oh, I give an example. I heard something. Now I don't remember the detail, but I remember very clearly the teaching.
Mm.
There were two devotees who went to India. They came back sick. I don't know, some typhoid, some medicine, some heavy infection. Okay, but one was a Sankirtan devotee was really eager to come back and book distribution. So it was really kind of anxious. I want to get out. I want to get out. It really, so in a couple of days, he just 2, 3 days, I don't know, whatever, the minimum time he was out of the hospital, back into the distribution. The other one was kind of a more lazy, more, not so determined. So he stayed in the hospital like 1 month, kind of just spacing out, relaxing, because he didn't have that eagerness to get out. So, but
Very good.
what I understood from the person who was telling this story is that is the eagerness to get out of a situation. Some people don't have that eagerness. In fact, they like this boy. Imagine this boy, the one who stay longer. Maybe he doesn't want to go back to the temple, wash pots all day, So instead of in the hospital, he can relax, he can sleep most of the day. People come, they bring some food. So he may be actually enjoying the disease condition.
Yeah.
Enjoy meaning, yeah, I mean, better than the alternative, than have to go and do austerities. So, and then he takes the disease as something good. Oh, something good happened to me. I don't have to wash pots. Now I can stay no, nicely in
I
the
know
hospital
somebody like that. I know somebody in my family like that.
like that. So first of all, is recognize it's a disease. Otherwise, you see here, Prahlada say, in this way, I'm certainly embarrassed. In one sense, the verse is even stronger. It says, Bhavyasa patnya iva gheya patim lunanti. They annihilate. Just like so they annihilate. So anyway, so one may say, oh, so many senses, nice. There's so many things to do for the senses and this and that. And one thinks, I remember one devotee. He was a devotee with me, and he was telling me about his previous habits. He was smoking. Okay, he was seriously smoking. just cigarettes, okay? And I asked him, but and he was telling me, for instance, he was telling me one night he finished the cigarettes and he was kind of like this desperate. He went out at midnight looking for a place where he could buy it. He was really addicted to cigarettes. So then I asked him, but look, did you feel that it costs so much? Because cigarettes are not BDs. I don't know how BD costs, but I think it's much cheaper.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are very costly. It could be like in terms, I don't know, €2 each, like 150 rupees each, which is like a meal. Okay, for one cigarette, it's like the cost of a thali. Imagine, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's 5 minutes. Anyway, I told him, but don't you feel that it was so costly spending all that money? And he said, no, I thought at least I can buy cigarettes. It's like, oh, fortunately, there are these cigarettes that I can buy. He wasn't feeling like it was a loss. It was like, oh, fortunately, with this money, I can buy cigarettes. That was the mood. It's like, oh, fortunately, there's something so beautiful and wonderful like cigarettes that I can buy.
I mean,
So,
I can give
so
another example.
just
Then,
to conclude. So if one, obviously it's addictive, it's unhealthy, it's crazy, but for him it was like, oh, it's a privilege. At least I can smoke cigarettes. So if one sees the disease as a privilege, as a something, wow, it's a blessing almost, then of course, how can he will take the medicine? Please go ahead.
I mean, another thing I also know is like with addiction, right? There are different addiction. There's substance abuse, like you gave example, but there is also relational abuse, relationship addiction, like that. And if you ask a person, like, it's so much waste of time and energy, and you're just not getting anything. You're just maybe like, say, some people are fantasy addicts, right? They just sit and fantasize. Then if you ask them, like, are you not like afraid that you're wasting so much time and energy and everything? They say, no, it's worth it, because I can't handle that emptiness and the depression, and that, like, for people who buy alcohol or drugs, it's not only that, it's not that the alcohol or the drug gives you pleasure. It's not really the pleasure. It's not like buying a fast car or something that gives you pleasure. But the alcohol and the drug is like a way to escape from what I'm feeling. If I'm feeling
Yeah, to numb oneself.
numb, yeah, to numb oneself.
There's
So,
a famous song by the Pink Floyd, no, Comfortably Numb, because it's a comfort, numbness is a comfort. Otherwise, you got to think of life, you have to think of death, you have to think of the world, you have to think of the wars.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like a escape. So it's worth it to escape that pain. The price that I have to pay for whatever, it seems worth it, until they say, according to the recovery and all, until we hit the rock bottom, until we come to the point where we realize that, yes, I can buy alcohol and numb my feelings emotionally, but as I have been doing that for so long, I've lost my job, I've lost my friends, I've lost my family, I've lost my money, I've lost my ambitions and passion. Then they hit the rock bottom and they look at themselves and say, was it really worth it? Because every time they hit the joint or they take the sip of alcohol, they are thinking it's worth it, it's worth it, it's worth it. But then it starts eventually becoming like, no, it's not worth it anymore. And then they start recovery. And Krishna, what else is better than Krishna consciousness for that kind of recovery? The real recovery begins when we take shelter of Krishna. Because even in recovery, and it's not like an alcoholic is able to recognize that, oh, I have to stop, it's a waste of money, it's going to drag me down. That's it. It doesn't work like that. They have to surrender to God. That's the only way. Even in recovery programs, the only way that they can give up addiction is by taking shelter of God and letting God in to hand over your life and your will in the care of God. That's the only way. Anyway, I can talk a lot about addiction, but it's very relevant. I can relate very much.
Yes. Okay. So next, Ashka, if you want to say anything, if
Yeah.
you want to ask anything, if you want to comment anything.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Nothing to say.
Okay, so let's continue.
If you don't move it, it's easier. Evam swakarma patitam bhava vaitaranyam अन्योन्य जन्मा मरणस्य भीतं मरणाशन भीतं पश्याञ्जनं स्वपरविग्रहवैरमैत्रं हन्तेति पराचर पिप्रीहि मूढमाद्या. My dear Lord, you're always transcendently situated on the other side of the river of death. Vaitaranya, right? Vaitaranya. But because of the reactions of our own activities, we are suffering on this side. Indeed, we have fallen into this river and are repeatedly suffering the pains of birth and death and eating horrible things. Now kindly look upon us, not only upon me, but also upon all others who are suffering. And by your causeless mercy and compassion, deliver us and maintain us. Purport. Prahlada Maharaj, a very pure Vaishnava, prays to the Lord not only for himself, but for all other suffering living entities. There are two classes of Vaishnavas, the Bhajananandis and the Goshtyanandis. The Bhajananandis worship the Lord only for their personal benefit, but the Goshtyanandis try to elevate all others to Krishna consciousness so that they may be saved. Fools who cannot perceive repeated birth and death and the other miseries of materialistic life cannot be sure of what will happen to them in their next birth. Indeed, these foolish, materially contaminated rascals have manufactured an irresponsible way of life that does not consider the next life. They do not know that according to one's own activities, one receives a body selected from 84 lakh species. These rascals have been described in Bhagavad Gita as Dushkrutino Mudha. Non-devotees, those who are not Krishna conscious, must engage in sinful activities and therefore they are mudas, fools and rascals. They are such fools that they do not know what will happen to them in their next life. Although they see varieties of living creatures eating abominable things, pigs eating stool, crocodiles eating all kinds of flesh, and so on, they do not realize that they themselves, because of their practice of eating all kinds of nonsense in this life, will be destined to eat the most abominable things in their next life. A Vaishnava is always afraid of such abominable life. And to free himself from such horrible conditions, he engages himself in this devotional service of the Lord. The Lord is compassionate to them and therefore he appears for their benefit. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Bhagavad Gita 4:7. The Lord is always ready to help the fallen souls, but because they are fools and rascals, they do not take to Krishna consciousness and abide by the instructions of Krishna. Therefore, although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is personally the Supreme Lord Krishna, he comes as devotee to preach Krishna consciousness movement. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. One must therefore become a sincere servant of Krishna. Amar agyaya guru hai anyataya desh. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 7:1-8. One should become a guru and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world simply by preaching the teachings of Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
I have a question. I just want to confirm. See, this morning we were studying about Prithu Maharaj and we studied about a little bit about like him, he leaves, goes to the forest. He retires. And then we spoke a little bit about Vanaprasthashram like this. And I said that we are not, like, nobody's asking us to go into the forest, right? Nobody's asking us to wear, sleep on the twigs and wear tree barks, which even Prithu Maharaj did with Archie. So I told that for us, Vanaprasthashram in ISKCON, because we're not Bhajananandis, we are Goshtanandis, we are preachers. We give Krishna consciousness. So in Prabhupada's movement, Vanaprastha means we preach. We give up our sense of fear. Oh, like, I was saying, some of our Matajis, they have listened to so many lectures. They are mothers, they raised kids successfully and everything. But then when we ask them, do a class for Kartik month, no, I can't give a class. They're very much like attached to their identity of how they're going to look good or whatever, right? So I kind of emphasize this point. So I just want to know from you if that's the right understanding, that for us, Vanaprastha ashram or renunciation essentially means that we stop thinking of making money and worrying about the grandchildren and how they, because it's never ending, right? Grandchildren and the children, never ending. But to say, okay, I preach and I give up my sense of false ego, how I will look if I preach, what kind of class I will give, maybe what if people don't like. We renounce all that and we preach. And traditionally they will travel and preach, right? But not everybody can, like, say, travel and preach. Of course, in ISKCON, I said also that in ISKCON we still don't have much organized system for Vanaprasthas to, say, live in the temple and serve, and we don't have so much like that kind of system established yet. But is that my right understanding, that Vanaprastha basically means dedicate fully to preaching?
I didn't hear it explained like this. You see, there are different aspects. One is that there is the social aspect, meaning, okay, Vanaprastha means retire. So no more work as one was doing before. Of course, maybe if he has a little subject garden, of course, can do, but not like going to the office anymore, because it's retired life. And also no sex anymore. Now, traditionally, they were not going to preach. The preach is more for sannyasi, but they will go to pilgrimage places. So it's a time of purification. In one sense, it's a time of preparation. Now, if somebody, preaching is more like a lifestyle, a value. Preaching is like breathing for some devotees. Either they're brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi. That's what they do. Now, how to preach, to whom to preach, in which condition, that's kind of that we can see. Now, yeah, of course, if somebody has more time, he can preach more. Preach can also be like, okay, you run a bhakti vriksha. If before you were not having time because you had to run to the office, come back, take 3 hours, this and that, then okay, now you're retired, you have more time, you could if you have. See, the point is that some people are not trained psychologically or trained just what to say. So they're afraid because what to say. I never preached. I thought somebody else preaches. The Maharaj comes, the Brahmachari comes. I remember in many years ago, I was with Japataka Maharaj in South Africa, and they were having these programs in big schools at night. Means that there was no school going on, but the school allowed different religions to use it for their meeting. And there was like 200 people Namahata, but I remember that the Grihastha were kind of dissatisfied because it was all depending on the temple. The Brahmachari will come, give the class, and they would not do much, They were not allowed to speak. I'm talking about many, many years ago, okay? So not that this is not necessarily the situation now. So I'm just saying, to become a preacher, first of all, we have to define what does it mean preaching. Book distribution, going to a school, meaning to speak to the students, or preach online, preach on YouTube, think of something like, okay, teach people how to cook and then, offer prasad. See, preaching has many, many things, and preaching is not really specific for Vanaprastha. Now, if the Vanaprastha is trained, is courageous and so on, yes, of course, now they have more time. Children are grown, and they're gone. And so definitely you have more time. So if you are trained meaning mentally trained as a preacher, yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah.
It's a great time. You can become a teacher in a Krishna conscious school. They're preaching all the time. They're teaching all the time. So it depends very much on the person, but generally, this is the thing. This is the characteristic of the Vanaprastha. So stop working if they can afford, of course. One may have to go do this little thing, but somebody who is say, you remember in Puri, we were walking, there was a man having a little shop, but he was reading the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe he cannot stop.
Yeah.
He cannot stop he cannot just close the shop, but he's in the shop and he's reading the Bhagavad Gita. Then somebody wants to buy something. Okay, here, 10 rupees. Okay, go. So depends on the situation, but traditionally it means you retire from the work, you stop having intimate connection, physical connection with your wife. The wife stops taking care, no saris, this, that, simple saris, simple clothes. Maybe she can cut her hair short and things like that. So it's a phase of retirement, phase of detachment. And phase of pilgrimage means phase of purification. You are not anymore like so much into the Griya. Additionally, Griya means, okay, you got servants, you got animals, cows, horses, this, that. No, now you go, maybe give your cows to your children, I don't know, or to a temple, and then you go pilgrimage, peaceful. You hear from the sadhus, you hear. So tradition is more a time for hearing more, but if somebody, of course, in ISKCON, somebody has that enthusiasm and training and instruction, yes, they can do certainly more preaching.
Yeah, I mean, especially if somebody has worked hard and they were struggling to, like, say, find more time for preaching, it's a great opportunity to retire. And of course, I mean, I'm just saying it's not very practical. Sometimes we need to think, how to pay the bills, and not everybody may have supportive husband or something, especially even as women. Sometimes we need to think, how do I support myself, how the money will come, and all that. We need to think in advance.
Yes.
Okay.
Next.
Yeah.
So we welcome Khushbu Mataji, the super reader.
Hare Krishna.
Very well, Khushbu. So should I continue or somebody else likes
You
to?
like? Yes, please.
Konartake khila guru
Not artha, it's atra.
Konvatra khila guru bhagavan prayasa uttarane sya bhava sambhava lopa heto मूढेषु वै महदनुग्रह अर्थबन्धो किं तेन ते प्रियजनानुसेवतां नाः. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, original spiritual master of the entire world, what is the difficult for you? What is the difficulty for you who will manage the affairs of the universe in delivering the fallen souls engaged in your devotional service? You're the friend of all suffering humanity And for great personalities, it is necessary to show mercy to the foolish. Therefore, I think that you should show your causeless mercy to persons like us who engage in your service. Here, purport. Here, the words Priyajana Anusevatam Naha indicate that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very favorable to devotees who act according to the instructions of his own pure devotee. In other words, one must become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. If one wants to become the servant of the Lord directly, this is not as fruitful as engaging in the service of the Lord's servant. This is the direction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who shows us the way to become Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Dasanu Dasa. Dasa Dasanu Dasa. One should not be proud of becoming directly the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, one must seek a pure devotee, a servant of the Lord, and engage oneself in the service of such a servant. The more one becomes the servant of the servant, the more one becomes perfect in devotional service. This is also the injunction of Bhagavad Gita. Evam parampara praptam imam raja shayo viduhu. One can understand the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the parampara system. In this regard, Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Tandera charana sevi bhakta sanevasa. Let me serve the lotus feet of the Lord, devotees of the Lord, and let me live with devotees. Janame hai abhilasha. Following Narottam Das Thakur, one should aspire to be the servant of the Lord's servant, life after life. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also sings, Tumita Thakura Tomara Kukura Baliya Janahe Mora. O my Lord, O Vaishnava, please consider me your dog. One must become the dog of a Vaishnava, a pure devotee. For the pure devotee can deliver Krishna without difficulty. Krishna say, Tomara Krishna dite para. Krishna is the property of his pure devotee. And if we take shelter of the pure devotee, he can deliver Krishna very easily. Prahlada wants to engage in the service of a devotee, and therefore he prays to Krishna, My dear Lord, kindly give me the shelter of your very dear devotee, so that I may engage in his service and you may then be pleased. Mad Bhakta Pujabhidika, Bhagavatam 11, 19, 21. The Lord says, engaging in the service of my devotee is better than trying to engage in my devotional service. Another significant point in this verse is that by devotional service, Prahlada Maharaj does not want to benefit alone. Rather, he prays to the Lord that all of us fallen souls in this material world may, by the grace of the Lord, engage in the service of his servant and thus be delivered. The grace of the Lord is not at all difficult for the Lord to bestow, and thus Prahlada Maharaj wants to save the whole world by spreading Krishna consciousness. I wanted to make a comment about this purport. There are 2 points, right? One point is about the mercy of the devotee. If we can please the devotee, then that devotee can easily give us Krishna. And the other point is that we don't benefit alone, but we actually pray for everyone. So both, I had this recent experience, in the Yagya ceremony, how some people, they never asked me, pray for me or put my name in the list. But there were other people who were well-wishers and they wanted their name to be in it. So today somebody told me that, Ashka told me that you prayed for me also. And it was not my idea. It was Ashka and the others. They wanted that name of the person there. So I'm just thinking, when we serve devotees and we are in touch with devotees, somehow those devotees will put our name in the list of prayers somehow. So that's why we should always be humble with devotees and nice. So if we are in the good books of devotees, they say sometimes in South India, even if God will give you blessing, if Pujari doesn't give, then you won't receive it. So you should be nice to the Pujari. And that was one experience. I thought that because of well wishes, like you remember, I started telling some my family, like my mother, my father's name, and then you immediately said, "Hey, what about my sisters?" Right? And then you added your sisters. So I think that's the idea of relationships, that when we can wish well for others. And then I got also feedback, like we could have done this yagya, right, by ourselves. We didn't need to. But somehow I thought, why don't I inform some of the friends if they also like to participate in it, and they also can get the benefit like that. Because even without giving like big donations and this and that, he would still come and do the yagya, but still we wanted to give him enough donations. So the point was how like I was thinking also, like I wanted to, like when I was doing the Purnahuti and I was putting all the prayers of all the devotees in the fire, I was really like praying for everybody, and like I said, please let everybody find, clarity, and let all their obstacles be removed so they can come close. And I was just thinking that pleasure is so great, even with people that I know, like just my friends and our Krishna connection people and my family and my like close people, right? Even to pray for them is so beautiful. What to speak if we can come to that level of Prahlad Maharaj, that he's praying for all fallen conditional souls, that to engage in his service and be delivered. And I'm just thinking, like, even little bit of praying for everybody. We had such a nice celebration. Everybody was included. Everybody felt so good. And I'm sending out the kavachas to people, and I'm like hoping everybody is protected. And it's such a good feeling, like loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, to wish everybody to be happy. It's such a nice feeling. And I'm thinking to have a even higher feeling like Prahlad. How amazing that would be, and how that Krishna gives us that ability. You want to show us some yagya or what? No.
Okay. You're saying two things. That was one.
Yeah, both the things. One is that we should be in the good books of devotees who are always doing service and organizing things so that they can pray for us. Another thing is that we should pray for others as a culture, and then we will also receive so much mercy, because mercy will flow through us. Like when I give, then it has to come through Krishna to me, right? So if I want to give blessings to somebody, like I want to give Sudarshan Narasimha blessings to people in some other country, some other place, but the mercy will have to flow through me because I have a desire to serve this devotee. So the Lord will first bless me. Only then I'll be able to give the blessing. So what an amazing way to get blessings. You just wish well for others, and then Krishna will send that energy through you. So the good energy will first pass through us. The divine mercy will first pass through us to be going to somebody else. So the Guru Maharaj always says that's his secret. He's always praying for others. Superpower. Supercharging power.
Can we go next? Or is there any question, comment?
I don't know if they have any question, comment.
So this is a very, very famous verse.
I can do. नैवोद्विजय परदुरात्यय वैतरण्यास् त्वद्वीर्यगायन महामृतमग्नचित्तः शोचे ततो विमुखचेतस इन्द्रियार्था माया सुखाय भरमुद्वहतो विमूढान्. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. Oh, I'm so sweet of Prahlad Maharaj. Purport. Throughout the entire world, everyone is making big plans to adjust the miseries of the material world, and this is true at present, in the past, and in the future. Nonetheless, although they're making elaborate political, social, and cultural plans, they have all been described here as vimudha, fools. The material world has been described in Bhagavad Gita as dukhalayam ashashvatam, temporary and miserable. But these fools are trying to turn the material world into Sukhalayam, a place of happiness. not knowing how everything acts by the arrangement of material nature, which works in her own way. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3:27. There is a plan for material nature, personally known as Durga, to punish the demons. Although the asuras, the godless demons, struggle for existence, they are directly attacked by the goddess Durga, who is well equipped with 10 hands with different types of weapons to punish them. She is carried by her lion carrier, or the modes of passion and ignorance. Everyone struggles very hard to fight through the modes of passion and ignorance and conquer material nature. But at the end, everyone is vanquished by nature's laws. There's a river known as Vaitarani between the material and spiritual worlds, and one must cross this river to reach the other side, or the spiritual world. This is an extremely difficult task. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. The same word duratyaya means very difficult is used here. Therefore, one cannot surpass the stringent laws of material nature except by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Nonetheless, although all materialists are baffled in their plans, they try again and again to become happy in this material world. Therefore, they have been described as Vimudha, first-class fools. As for Prahlada Maharaj, he was not at all happy, for although he was in the material world, he was full of Krishna consciousness. Those who are Krishna conscious trying to serve the Lord are not unhappy, whereas one who has no assets in Krishna consciousness and is struggling for existence is not only foolish but extremely unhappy also. Prahlada Maharaj was happy and unhappy simultaneously. He felt happiness and transcendental bliss because of his being Krishna conscious. Yet he felt great unhappiness for the fools and rascals who make elaborate plans to be happy in this material world. You know, there is a song which says, Manihinda santosha kelavarige lokadolu, ಧನದಿಂದ ಸಂತೋಷ ಕೆಲವರಿಗೆ ಲೋಕದೊಳು ಇನಿತು ಸಂತೋಷ ಅವರವರಿಗಾಗಲಿ ಇನಿತು ಸಂತೋಷ ಅವರವರಿಗಾಗಲಿ ನಿನ್ನ ನೆನೆವೋ ಸಂತೋಷ ಎನಗಾಗಲಿ ರಂಗ ವಿಠಲರೇಯ. This is very similar to Prahlada Maharaj's prayer. He says, different people find happiness in different things. Some people find happiness in wealth. Some people find happiness in new house, in new car, in new relationship. May everybody find the happiness that they want. But let me find my happiness in remembering your lotus feet, oh my dear Supreme Lord, oh my shelter. And this, like, I like that the point of, like, okay, I'll be very frank here. Sometimes when I see people enjoying materially, there's a tinge of jealousy in me, like, oh, look at them, they're enjoying. But then if I give it a little minute of thought and I actually look at the way they are maybe using their energies and wasting it, there's nothing to feel jealous about. It's actually I only need compassion to look at them. Oh, they're just wasting their lifetime from something very temporary, and they're not really going to find happiness through that. Like some people jump relationships or something. There's no need to feel unhappy, how do you say, jealous, but we can feel happy. I can feel happy that they're happy in that moment, but also feel unhappy that that's not going to give them ultimate benefit. I think some of us, we can recognize that. I mean, usually the tendency is when we see somebody enjoying materially, we criticize them. Look at them. But actually here in this song that I just quoted, Purandaradasa says, let everybody find happiness in whatever they like. And let me find happiness in you. So I really like that meditation. Any comments, Ray, you want to say? Because you've always taught me that detachment from not feeling jealous.
Well, the point is that, I mean, with looking with intelligence, even people were enjoying, they will suffer very much later on, soon, very soon, in fact. So it's like you can be compassionate even with somebody who's enjoying the most, meaning somebody say is very rich, is very beautiful, is very young, but it's like for long that they will uh, have their carpet taken from their feet or the chair taken from their feet. So it's like you can have compassion by projecting meaning seeing the trajectory, being the future of the person. So
Mhm.
I mean, see, it takes knowledge to have compassion because see, sometimes even an ignorant person can feel compassion. Oh, the body is suffering. Oh, this happening. Oh, this poor dog doesn't have anything to eat or something like that. And then and that's one part of compassion. But there is compassion in knowledge that that seeing that people are say sinful, they may be enjoying, but because they're sinful, one knows that they will suffer very much very soon, relatively soon.
Mm. But I'm just saying, how do I balance the two? Sometimes there's an immediate sort of like, oh, they're enjoying so much material opulence, they're making money or whatever. And then on another side, I know that that's not going to bring them permanent happiness, but to not look down upon them, but to say that, okay, let them be happy. So why should I criticize them for being happy? But at the same time, internally knowing that that's not the happiness, that's not where I want to find my happiness, right? Is that balanced and Krishna conscious enough?
To do what? To be happy for their happiness.
Yeah, to be happy, even though it's temporary happiness, to not just criticize and blame them or something, but to say, okay, good, they're happy, but internally to not to hanker to find happiness in what they're finding happiness.
Not sure I understand the question.
Okay. It's okay.
The point is that somebody has a credit for certain pleasure. Huh? So, okay, now they're spending it. So even the people in Svargaloka, now we are here in this world, there are wars and there's so many things. And the bodies, they're not the Svargaloka bodies. But we know that if we are Krishna conscious, we are building an eternal happiness. So we can even have compassion for those in the heavenly planets, because we know that okay, they're just every day they're enjoying there with their apsaras and with their higher planes and with their lakes and with their music. Every minute they enjoy, their credit is diminishing.
True.
So it's like, okay, they're becoming poorer and poorer and poorer. While us on the earth, if we are doing what we need to do, we are building an eternal happiness. So it will be more than reverse, that they'll come down because of one point that credits finish, come down, and by Guru's mercy, go up.
And the same can be applied to people around us too, right?
Of
If
course.
All right. Clear.
Okay.
If Khushbu likes to read, otherwise I can continue.
Yes, I can.
So you want me to share the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so now we go to the next verse.
Okay. 7:9:44. प्रयेण देव मुनयः स्वविमुक्तिकाम मौन मौनं चरन्ति विजने न पराथा निशाथः नैतन्विभ्य कर्पानन् विमुमं कस्य इको नात नान नानयं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नोपस्ये. Translation. My dear Lord Narsimhadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forests to meditate with vows of silence, Mauna Vrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. Purport. Srila. This is the decision of the Vaishnava, the pure devotee of the Lord. For himself, he has no problems, even if he has to stay in this material world, because his only business is to remain in Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious person can go even to hell and still be happy. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, Navodya Vijay Para Doratyaya Vetarya Nayaha. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. The pure devotee is never unhappy in any condition of life. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28. Narayana para sarve nakutaschana bhivayati swargapavarga narakashe narakashe apitulartha darshinaha. Devotees solely engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. For a devotee, being situated in the heavenly planets and being in the hellish planets are equal. For a devotee's life, neither in heaven nor in hell, but with Krishna in the spiritual world. The secret of success for the devotee is not understood by the karmis and the jnanis. Karmis therefore try to be happy by material adjustment, and the jnanis want to be happy by becoming one with the Supreme. The devotee has no such interest. He is not interested in so called meditation in the Himalayas or the forest. Rather, his interest is in the busiest part of the world, where he teaches people Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness movement was started for this purpose. We do not teach one to meditate in a secluded place just to say that one may show that he has become very much advanced and may be proud of this so called transcendental meditation. Although he engages in all sort of foolish materialistic activity, a Vaishnava like Prahlad Maharaj is not interested in such a bluff of spiritual advancement. Rather, he is interested in enlightening people in Krishna consciousness because that is the only way for them to become happy. Prahlad Maharaj says clearly, Nanyam tad asya saranam brahmato nupasye. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. One wanders within the universe, life after life, but by the grace of a devotee, a servant of the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can get the clue to Krishna consciousness and then not only become happy in this world, but also return home back to Godhead. That is a real target in life. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement are not at all interested in so called meditation in the Himalayas or the forest, where one will only make a show of meditation. Nor are they interested in opening many schools for yoga and meditation in the cities. Rather, every member of the Krishna consciousness movement is interested in going door to door to try to convince people about the teachings of Bhagavad Gita as it is, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That is the purpose of Hare Krishna movement. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement must be fully convinced that without Krishna one cannot be happy. Thus, the Krishna conscious person avoids all kinds of pseudo spiritualist, transcendentalist, meditators, monists, philosophers, and philanthropists.
I like how Prabhupada says that the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, like we need to, like for example, we distribute books, but we need to be first convinced, right? We're not just doing business, but it's actually a lifestyle that we need to be convinced of. Not that material things won't give us pleasure. We need to be convinced that Krishna, without Krishna, is not possible to be happy. Like they say, right? We can't give Krishna unless we have Krishna. I like that point so much.
Okay, anything else? Question, comments?
I just wanted to comment that this Naivod Vijay Paraduratyaya Vaitaranyas, and Prahlad Maharaj is saying that I am not afraid of this material existence because, I have faith in you, my dear Lord, he says. In a little different context, when, like when we do these kind of recovery programs and all, these people don't even know Krishna, but they're so confident that Krishna, God will help me. Like God will help me to overcome my difficulties and challenges. They're not proudly saying, I will do my sadhana and get rid of my problems. But they're very like aligned to God's will. They're very much about faith with God. Like I remember there's one lecture by Radhanath Maharaj, and he speaks to the 12-step recovery group people, and he says that you guys have no, like you don't have many options like other normal people in life. He says either you depend on God and you get uplifted and you're saved, or you're just going down to hell. You're destroyed, you're done, you're finished. 12-step recovery group people. Yeah.
Yes. You finished? No,
Yes.
no, something else.
Okay. So the main point being, when we realize and recognize that we have a problem and we call God in, even if they don't know it's Krishna, but Krishna is Paramatma sitting in the heart. So when they approach, I have seen such transformations happen in people's life because of that ability to let God in, letting Krishna in, interfere is so powerful. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, see, this is a very famous verse, and I use often the purport as a reference when, see, we're talking about Bhakti Vriksha, congregation of the bodies, and I explained that, see, the movement is not divided into preachers and non-preachers. Prabhupada says this word is say every member. What is that? Okay, every member of the Krishna consciousness movement is interested in going door to door to try to convince people about the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which of course, I mean, if you want to convince people about Bhagavad Gita, you got to sell them Bhagavad Gita, obvious, not just talk. And then Shri said that's the purpose of the Hare Krishna movement. So there are two aspects here. One is Srila Prabhupada say that he's interested to go where there's a lot of people. He says his interest is in the busiest part of the world. And there's a letter to Japtaka Maharaj by Srila Prabhupada. He said that we should get our center in the most congested part of the city. Now, congested, obviously, it's generally is used in a negative sense. Congested means there is traffic, there is noise, there is chaos. It's a lot of confusion. But Srila Prabhupada said that because the devotee missionary wants to be where the people are. So you have a center like Soul Street in London, which is really, it's just like maybe what, 30 meters, 40 meters from Oxford Street, which is one of the busiest streets in the world. And sometimes unless you have a good, very good sleep or very good earplugs, you can't sleep because there is loud music all night. Now there are all these pubs that people just drink till midnight, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or there is music. And the bodies are there, like in the trenches of material life. And there in Soul Street, sometimes they do 3 Harinams a day. Like they get out after breakfast, they go Oxford Street, up and down. There are people from all over the world, literally. And then they come back, then they go after lunch, then they go off in the evening. So it's like this idea of the congested place. Like if you say, for instance, the Gaudiya Mat by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the principle was the same. If you go, say, Guwahati, Assam, the Gaudiya Mat is just in the marketplace, near the market. So the market generally is one of the busiest parts. So many people selling, buying, screaming, this, that. And the Gaudiya Mat is right there on the market. So because the devotees want to make Krishna consciousness available where the people are. So where the more people are, the devotees wants to be there. At the same time, Srila Prabhupada also said, okay, you can go outside the city, you can live in a peaceful place, you can cultivate your own food, have one cow. So Srila Prabhupada gave the full picture, but of the two, I believe this is more elevated. Now, sacrifice one life. I mean, what pleases Krishna's more? That, okay, you have one cow, get your 5 liters of milk every day, and okay, you have your potatoes, your eggplants, and then, okay, yeah, of course, devotion is the most important thing. You may be there with your cow and chant very good rounds and do some and you can also preach, because village, especially in India, there is people everywhere in India. Basically, there are people everywhere. So, but the mood is that, so when I think of the Soho devotees, they live like in a pressure cooker. Also, the temple is not very big. There's like 4 stories, but it's kind of all concentrated. The temple room, maybe I should show you the temple room in Soho Street. It's called Soho. That's the famous, very famous Shishirada Londonishwar. And there is always programs, there's always people. I'll show you now. But anyway, and Srila Prabhupada saw this temple. They didn't yet bought, but okay, I will show you just to give an example, because this is what Srila Prabhupada is talking about.
Mm.
And some devotees live like that. Some they do year after year after year.
Mm.
Okay, so this is So Street. Again, right in the center, you see Radha Krishna temple.
Mm.
That's the entrance. And then the Govinda restaurant. That's how they make their money. Now they sell prasad and they sell. But there's on the first floor, see, over a Govinda Pure restaurant is the temple room. There's always program. They do lunch programs. Let me see. Okay, this is the temple room. Very nicely done, like in India. You see, this is temple room, but it's very small. And frankly, this is perhaps is the best, the most beautiful Srila Prabhupada's deity in the whole world, as far as very, very realistic. I don't know. I like this Srila Prabhupada's deity very much. You see, but it's a small, I mean, you cannot see, but basically it's a small temple. And let me see. This is the anyway, you get the idea. So they live packed there, and then they go outside every day. Okay, this is more. See, it's not a big temple. See, Srila Prabhupada is there, on two sides, and from where he's taken the picture is Radha Londonishwar. Want to see Radha Londonishwar? Here is the famous deity that they wanted to donate to Srila Prabhupada. There was this story, maybe you all know the story of Radha Londonishwar?
Tell us, tell us, tell us.
But basically, Srila Prabhupada was in London, and some Indian community, I don't know if Gujarati or some, they said, we bought this deities, Radha Krishna. But somehow Radharani's small finger got broken, so we cannot install anymore. So then, if you want it, we can donate to you. And I was even not sure if they wanted really to donate or they wanted to sell it. But anyway, so they were kept on a table covered, and the person said, I want to show you. No, Sherpa said, no, we'll see it later. Let's talk. So they were talking, this, that, And then at one point, Sherpa said, okay, the person just showed the deity, and Sherpa said, okay, we'll take them. Tamakrishna was there, and I'm not sure the other one.
Wanted to sell, and then Prabhupada convinced them to give it. That's
well, more than convinced, he just took it and then ran away, basically. Not ran away, but he just walked away. He just said, okay, we'll take them. Thank you very much. So how heavy are them? So Tamakrishna said, not bad. Actually, they were very heavy. It's marble, but they're big deities. But somehow he said, okay, so thank you very much. We'll take them. Thank you. And just they walked out. And then the person said, no, but we can fix it. No. Srila said, no, we have an expert. They can fix it. So you can find it in the Lilamrita. Then they put them in the pickup truck or some sort of car, and they just drove away. And then after a couple of blocks, they stopped. Srila Prabhupada turned and started singing the Brahma Samhita prayers to them.
Wow.
So I'm just saying, see, this is the temple room, very small, but there's always so many things going on.
Mm.
And this is the restaurant, it's always packed, like that. See, this is what somebody's dancing. Haha means, you know, again, so many things are going on. And this is the whole altar, you see, Radharandhaneshwar and Jagannath Subhadra Baladev. And in one sense, this is very special place. I mean, you can do a lot of advancement, of course. See the temple room, that's it. But it's always full also. They have a special system this Sunday, at least last time I was there, they had this picture, sorry, this what do you call this program? Sunday, if you go there before the class, they give you a coupon. So that's free prashada. Then they stop when they after the class they stop. So if you go for the class, you can get free prashad. If you go after the class, you got to pay. In other words, if you only go to eat, you have to pay. If you go for learning and hearing the devotees, it should be free. They have a boutique, also they make money. Once I sold them a bunch of Indian jewelry.
Yeah.
And I told them, basically, I told them, look, I didn't want, you know, I'm not a businessman, so I didn't want to start there negotiating everything, this, that. And so he said, look, do one thing. What did I tell them?
Give
Look,
whatever.
no, not whatever. I'm not so detached. No, I said something. I gave them a formula. I said, look, you need these things. You see, even here there are this jewelry. So, and they were kind of very cheap. I mean, India is much cheaper than in London, obviously. One thing they here you buy for 50 rupees, you can sell there for 20 pounds, which is like 1,600 rupees or something, you know. You can
Easily.
sell for 20, 30, 40 times. So I told them, I told them, look, you see how much you want. You calculate. I left the whole bag. I say, you calculate how much you sell it. How much you sell it. And then give me like 50% or something like that. Something like that. So they gave me 400 euro, 400 pounds. It's good.
Pretty good.
So they were, I mean, I think they were honest. They say, okay, they make the calculation they gave. Yeah, I'm sure they made money, obviously. Obviously, it's a business.
And also, I mean, who is willing? You brought it all the way in the flight, and you take it, and there are it's you.
I mean, it was a win-win situation. You know, I got let's see some cakes here. You can check.
I'm hungry looking at it.
Today is Dwadasi, so you can look.
Can look at it.
So everything is very, very small, but you see, very, very nicely ornated. I don't know, but she's supposed to be famous or something. So everything is nicely done, but it's very small, and the devotees are see, and especially big in big times, like say New Year Eve. They'll go all around. They come also from other places, like the Bhaktivedanta Manor, which is maybe like 1 hour from there, outside. Bhaktivedanta Manor is outside. It's in a small village, and so they go all night with this Harinam. They go everywhere in the London center, and this is the place where they were putting in jail. See here, they have Govinda's truck. I don't know. I never
You're
saw this.
what in jail?
Yes, because it was. See here, they're seeing it. I don't know. See, what happened is that, of course, they couldn't. in many countries you can't just go around and singing and dancing. But what happened? This is the lady from
Prema.
Argentina.
Yeah, Prema, yeah.
Prema. Yeah, because London, this is the devotee from Mayapur, right? Who does also Mayapur.
Ah,
Yeah, in London, everybody passes through. So anyway, so let's see. So anyway, the point is that what I was saying. Oh yeah, at the beginning, the devotees will do Harinam, and they will put in jail because they see the strange people singing, dancing. So what is it? So they will just take them and put in jail. And Srila Prabhupada say, yeah, it's okay. Go to jail. After some time, they will just get tired
oh
of
my
putting in
goodness.
jail. For what? You're not doing anything. But so then now they do whatever they want. They go everywhere. They sing, they dance. They get to dance. But at the beginning, they had to go to jail. In Australia, it's the same. There was one letter, apparently, the devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada, should we go? Should we get a lawyer and this and that? Srila Prabhupada said, no, just go to jail. Don't worry. I mean,
Oh my God.
how much can you keep? Then can they keep you? You didn't kill anybody. You're just singing in the street. You may
True.
not have authorization, but in fact, after some time, they stop. You say, okay, these people chant and dance. Well, at one point, they say, okay, it's picturesque, it's good tourism. At one point, they stop. They don't care so much. So anyway, this is just, in one sense, Soul Street is a perfect example of a temple, like Srila Prabhupada said, in the congested place or full of place. And London, literally, the whole world passes through London. And so this devotee is automatically preached to people all over, literally all over the world. Anyway, I don't have to say different countries, you can imagine. Like that. It's a very busy.
Prabhupada is far out, huh? Just go to jail and then at one point, of course, there are prisons in UK, so they must be very nice prisons.
I don't think they're very nice. That's not the point. I mean, but it's not, I don't think they're very nice. They're always jails and they're drunkards. So of course, maybe little better than. But the point is that Srila Prabhupada was a visionary, so he just he knew that you go to jail, and then they'll put you out. How much can they keep? I think they even went to the judge and this and that. Said, look, this is our religion. We chanted the streets. Of course, in other countries, they may be much heavier. But London is very much connected with India. There are so many Indians and this and that. Plus, they're not doing anything wrong. So, anyway, jail or no jail, the principle is like what Srila Prabhupada says, that the devotee's interest is in the busiest part of the world.
Also that faith, right? I mean, when Prabhupada said that, it's much easier to do than speculating on our own. He was so experienced with political situation. He fought for the freedom and he knew that they cannot.
Yeah, of course. Also because, see, the devotees say, oh, maybe we should put a lawyer. Shipra said the lawyer will take a lot of time. They will take a lot of money. And then what? That may also be completely, may not be successful. Instead, they put you in jail. And then after some time, they put you out. And then you go again. Then you go to jail again. And then you go to, and then what? And then they surrender.
Wow.
Okay, so we are, it's 11:36 in India. We can stop here unless there are some final words of wisdom or questions from anybody.
My impression of today is like, whoa, devotees went to jail just to keep the movement going. And I'm like, oof, I shouldn't complain about having to wait in the airport for overnight or something for traveling and preaching.
And in America was the same, was different dynamics. See, devotees, in America, the police is very heavy. So they went to the little towns and people just say, where are you to put in jail? Stay overnight in jail. And no, next day they kick you out of the town. So it's like a normal thing. People, many hundreds of devotees, that's their lifestyle. You distribute a few hours, then they think, oh, go to jail for a night, and they kick you out of the uh, town. I mean, I was never put in jail for distributing books. In Italy, police is more, I remember once they told us, okay, get out of this town. We don't want you here. But, it was very rare, just happened once. Otherwise, we don't care. But in America, to just put you in jail. The next time, Chandramouli Maharaj was telling us, and many, 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 many people. It just, that's the way. That's the life of a Sankirtan devotee. You spend the night in jail, which
Yeah.
probably was better than spending the night in the van. Meaning, it was probably more comfy. At least you have a bed for yourself,
Yeah, that's so funny. Anyway, we have a better life because of all the sacrifices all these devotees did, that's for the fact.
Yes. So you want to start